Some people travel to check places off a list, but the best way to understand a city is simply to walk for a while. This is Munich. There are a few things that shape how you experience a city, like walkability, how it feels to move through the streets, street life, the rhythm of everyday life, and places to pause where the city lets you breathe for a while. Those things together, that's the Travel Without Chaos Index. 3 dimensions, each one scored out of 5. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how Munich scores. Munich sits in a flat basin, wide streets, low buildings, and a lot of sky. And as you start walking, you recognize different parts of the city, not by name, but by how they feel. 3 areas worth knowing about. Altstadt, the historic center, pedestrian zones open up around Marienplatz. Around every corner, the crowds can appear suddenly and then disappear again a few streets later. Schwabing, a residential neighborhood north of the center. Trees overhead, cafes, bicycles, a softer pace. And the Englische Garten, a massive park running straight into the city. Not at the edge, right in the middle of everything. If you start with these, Munich is easy to get to know. Munich is flat and you feel it straight away. You walk further than you intended to without noticing. The streets are wide, the pavement's clear, and you cover ground without thinking about it. Crossings come often and the waits are short. Bikes have their own lanes, trams their own tracks, and walking here rarely means negotiating for space. The city spreads out more than the center lets on, though. Walking from the center up towards the university or across to the eastern neighborhoods takes longer than it looks on the map. But the time passes easily. 10 minutes of walking feels like 10 minutes of walking. The city doesn't fight you for them. Some streets set your pace for you. Ludwigstrasse, for example, the long boulevard running north out of the old center, monumental, wide, and the buildings tall and impressive. But at a walking pace, it keeps you at arm's length. Closed ground floors, windows that start high up. But the streets open up again the moment you turn off it. Further north it becomes Leopoldstrasse, where the scale drops, terraces, and people movement down at street level. Finding your way around the city is pretty easy. The towers and domes in the center carry a long way, so wherever you are, there's usually something to steer by. Here are a few places worth knowing for walking. Ludwigstrasse north from Odeonsplatz all the way to Münchener Freiheit. Monumental and easy underfoot, opening up as the scale drops towards Schwabing. Or east from Marienplatz towards the Isar Tor, and then wandering the streets around it, busier and lower, a city that's been used for a long time. Or the Isar down by the bridges, trees, water, and the city stepping back from itself. In the center, most people are on their way somewhere. The life that gathers in a few places, and the streets in between just carry you along. That's the rhythm here, not empty, moving. Shop doors open onto the pavement, but the street itself stays a route rather than a room. But Munich has other rooms. Viktualienmarkt is one of them, an open-air market right in the middle of the old town. Around the middle of the day, the pace shifts. People slow down, eat standing up, talk without being in a hurry. Shoppers, visitors, regulars, all mixed together. And then there are the beer gardens, long tables, strangers sitting together, noise spilling out into the open air. It works, and yes, it's wonderfully Bavarian. Away from the old town, to the east and in Schwabing too, you find streets with cafes, shops and barbers, small places opening onto the pavement. It's a mixed crowd and local in feel. Trams, cyclists, cars, pedestrians all sharing the same space. It's less ordered, more used. And if you're anything like me, you'll find yourself slowing down there, just to be part of it. Here are a few places worth knowing for street life. Viktualienmarkt, the open-air market in the center. This is a place where people really come together. A few streets south, around Gärtnerplatz, cafe terraces and small shops at the neighborhood pace. And Münchener Freiheit in Schwabing, a meeting point more than a destination, the everyday Munich between transport and cafes. Schwabing is quiet and lively at the same time. Wide pavements, benches sit down here and there. The further in you go, the quieter it gets. And at some point, the street becomes the park. You cross into the Englische Garten without quite noticing where. It's not abrupt, it's a natural continuation of where you already were. Walk far enough in it and it almost turns into forest, the city slipping away behind you. And then the Monopteros, a small dome temple on a rise in the middle of the park. From the slope below it, the city sits there again in the distance, towers and rooftops held back. People settle on the grass without making much of it, lying back, letting the city go by. And you'll feel it the moment you find a spot and settle in. The city keeps going, but you've stepped slightly outside of it. Here are a few places worth knowing, 4 places to pause. The Englische Garten by the Eisbach, a pause with something happening in it, surface on the wave and people stopping to watch. Wienerplatz to the east, a small neighborhood square with market stalls and benches, human in scale. And the Hofgarten by Odeonsplatz, a walled garden where the pace drops the moment you step in. So, what's the score for Munich on the Travel Without Chaos Index? Well, for walkability, it's high. The city is flat, easy to read and easy to move through. The distances are real and some routes don't give much back at street level, but turn off the main boulevard and that pays off immediately. For street life, present and genuine, but concentrated rather than scattered. The market in the center, the beer gardens and the streets to the east and Schwabing. The streets themselves are orderly. Life gathers more in specific places. And for places to pause, more than the density might suggest. Schwabing and the Englische Garten run into each other gradually. The park doesn't feel separate from the city, it feels like where the city goes when it slows down. Munich doesn't reveal itself all at once. Walk far enough and something stops you. A building, a monument, something you didn't expect to stop for. And then there's the other side of it, the beer gardens, the long tables, the easy way people share time and space, the mix of the monumental and the deeply ordinary. Munich is a beautiful city. Have you been here or do you live here? I'd love to hear.